Ryan, Tom Murphy now to the Morning Rush. Tom, you look at KJ Jefferson this month. He's completing 76% of his passes, has been on a tear against Mississippi State, LSU, and this past week against Alabama. What do you think Kendall Briles has done this month to really make him feel comfortable in the offense as he continues to prosper?
Well, I just think it's a product of, and by the way, good morning, everybody. I just think it's a product of maturing, just knowing what the defense is showing, knowing where his reads should take him, and being comfortable, trusting his offensive line. It's a product of a lot of different things, believing in the system that you're running. And, there's been a few drops in that, too. So, KJ, I think KJ has every right to start next season in the talk of, best quarterbacks in the country, best quarterbacks in the SEC, because he's right on that pace. I think he's actually above 65% now. He's 66%. And I might have said this to you guys last week, but when Kendall Briles mentioned that during camp, that their target percentage for him was 65, I remember thinking, more like 60. And here he is at 66 with one game to go. It's been pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason that he's been really picking it up as of late is the guys around him, particularly Treylon Burks. But I thought Rocket Sanders and A.J. Green stepped up yesterday, and Treylon Smith. Smith comes in and runs hard and physical. A.J., there was a couple times he got stoned at the line of scrimmage, and he just willed his legs to the end. And then Rocket's catch in the fourth quarter with about a minute or so to go. You got to remember, Tom, Rocket played a lot of wide receiver in high school. What do you think about Kendall Briles using him more in the passing game based off that one catch that we saw in the fourth quarter?
This is a very, very talented running back core. And you can just tell Treylon Smith, doesn't want to be the second-team guy. He is running so hard. And then the utilization of those guys, compare it to the LSU game when they were just having trouble. They were having trouble picking off a linebacker and completing a swing pass to a running back, just to try to get 5 yards. There was some negative 1 yard receptions and stuff in that game. In this game, all the backs contributed. Dominic Johnson did not have his best game, but he did score the touchdown that wasn't thought of as a touchdown upon first look by those officials. And then Treylon Smith ran hard. He had a couple of big runs right before halftime at LSU as well. A.J. Green, he is a phenomenal pass catch. You think about that Texas game, the way they outflanked, and he beat that linebacker. And Rocket Sanders, that little wheel route deal, that's a weapon. So I just think that this offense has grown and grown, and it's become formidable. And with KJ pulling the trigger and a veteran offensive line and Burks, this offense is for real this season.
Let's talk about Burks, because our last image of him from Tuscaloosa was being physically carried off the sideline to the bench and then leaving the field. I would say uncertainty about his availability for Friday on a short week would be merited. I know that Coach doesn't talk specifically about injuries, but we can talk about his impact on the game Saturday, playing through pain. Tom, it's a big blow if he's not going to be 100% go, and no one's 100%, but as able as possible for Friday for KJ Jefferson in this offense.
Yeah, it would be huge because, that was his career high against him. I want to say 206 at Missouri last year, and when KJ just trusting him and dropping dimes on him. And he played through whatever this is. I don't know if he's got like a rib situation going on or if it's his shoulder or just what. They were non-specific. And I think they might have told the TV broadcast it was upper chest, so that might suggest rib more. So when he was down there on the onside kick, I remember thinking, oh, gosh, Little's going to kick it this direction. And there's always some blasting going on these onside kick deals. And Will Anderson, Burks had 1 foot still in bounds, but that was unnecessary roughness as hard as he blasted Treylon to the ground. Anyway, you hate to see it. I just don't know. We will definitely ask Sam Pittman what his status will be, and I'm sure it'll be a murky answer, and then hope that he can play.
So Burks has 8 catches on 9 targets, 179 yards, and 95 of those yards after the catch. I thought on Saturday, playing through the pain and all he went through against some of the best competition in the country, this might have been his biggest stock-rising game for the next level, Tom. Just NFL scouts, NFL GMs, NFL coaches want to know you've got a guy that no matter how bad he's hurting, he'll play through it. He proved that and checked that box off clearly for the NFL on Saturday.
Oh, big time. Yeah, and there were some scouts there. John Lynch from the 49ers, I wrote about it. He was there.
Oh, wow.
And you know that John Lynch and the Niners are looking at Will Anderson, but this film, this tape will get around the league, and everyone will understand. You throw jump balls to this guy against some of the best corners, and he can come down with it, and he will play through the pain. I mean, you're absolutely correct. Checked every box, and it's been so fun having Treylon Burks on this team.
Yeah, you're always going to be measured how you do against the best, and he measured up well on Saturday.
Yeah, he did, and he might have got away with a little bit of a push off, but after he caught that ball, there was still Josh Jobe behind him and some safeties running in pursuit, and he outran them all. I mean, that was an amazing touchdown.
Yeah, you just see Burks running. There's like 5 Alabama defenders they're chasing. There was no one. There was not a single person. Usain Bolt was not going to keep him from getting in the end zone. As we're talking with Tom Murphy here this morning. Tom, another guy that stood out to me during this game is Blake Kern. He had 2 one-handed snags, and here's a guy that has had some crucial drops this season. He could have had a touchdown in the A&M game, the back of the end zone from Lee Hornsby, and he's had some plays where you're just kind of scratching your head. But, I mean, he had 2 one-handed snags, one with his left hand, one with his right hand, including that fake field goal. What did you think about his impact in the game yet on Saturday?
Yeah, Kern, it's good to see that because you're right. He's had a few drops this year, and it's not just the A&M game, but a few others. But both were one-handed, right? And the whole fake field goal deal would have blown up if he doesn't just bring that in. And I love it that a Bama player got screened by a ref, and they get the touchdown out of it. Boy, Sam was super happy on the sideline. And one more comment about Burks. On the NFL draft day, they always show a guy's highlights. So whoever Will Anderson is blowing up or, pulling a beautiful swim move on, that team, the team that gets exposed. And for Burks, it's going to be a bunch of Bama guys chasing him, and how often does that happen? That's going to be beautiful on the day Treylon Burks gets drafted.
That's a good point.
I think a lot of teams, as you just said, watched him gut it through on Saturday. There's going to be a lot of people calling Sam Pittman and this staff about Treylon Burks. I know Kenny Guyton's done a really good job with him as well. I want to ask you a national question. The Florida job opens up. Dan Mullen and the Gators no longer a fit. Tommy and I were kicking this around earlier. We're both in agreement that LSU is the better job, but not by much. What does that do to college football with the Florida job, the USC job, the LSU job, the TCU job? I mean, there's so many marquee jobs open. What is that going to do for the sport in the offseason, Tom?
Yeah, I think it's a product of the times. The pay that these guys get is huge. The buyouts are huge. Unless in Jimbo Fisher's case, you negotiate that you don't have to pay a buyout. So it's the nature of today's college game that there's so much money involved. The marketing and the NIL, and I don't know if it's necessarily healthy, honestly. But these agents are loving it, and this is a pressure cooker deal. Who would have ever thought coming into this season, Florida was ranked in the preseason, that kind of misspeaking about what he thought of recruiting, and then some upset losses could turn so quickly, and he could go right into the hot seat. And even after the recruiting commentary, I thought, well, there's no way. I mean, they'll win some games down the stretch, and they surely won't part ways with Dan Mullen. This guy's got a proven record. He's almost a quarterback whisperer in some views. So maybe he just needs a little downtime and recharge his batteries. I don't know where he'll pop back up, but he's young enough to do it. But you're right, there's absolute marquee jobs. Florida's a little tougher because of the environment. But LSU, you are going to be measured against what you're doing against Alabama. Yes, you're blessed with great talent down there, but you've got to put it together. You've got to have phenomenal recruiting classes to have a shot at Bama. And this was a year where they did it in 19, Alabama was slightly vulnerable this year. They made a good run at them, but we were talking to the guys at LSU, and it just seemed like after they won the championship, Ed got a little difference. Like he got filled up with that success and a big contract and being a big man around town, and maybe lost a little bit of focus about what it took, the grind it took to keep your team together, and I think that eventually cost him.
To me, the biggest differences in the jobs is Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State are three tougher teams than South Carolina, Missouri, and Vanderbilt. And the ability to win 9 or 10 consistently at Florida is just there more so than LSU.
Oh, yeah, that is absolutely the case. And I think the basically the inequity of the divisions is going to have to be resolved with the way they break up. What I'd like to see probably is 4 pods, but still 2 sides to it. And Hunter Yurachek told me in an interview just a few weeks ago that there's still, I want to say he said 9 plans still on the table about how they're going to schedule.
Wow!
But it's also critical in how you split them up because it's just unbalanced. If you're in the West, you don't have any automatic wins, and there are years like this year where Vanderbilt is so down that you do. And South Carolina is getting better, but early this season, they were easy to pick off.
Yeah.
Tom Murphy with us here on the Morning Rush. Tom, we really appreciate your time this morning. Any final thoughts on just NFL action we saw yesterday? Dallas Cowboys didn't get it done in Arrowhead. You had the Packers ended up losing the Vikings, a little shakeup of the NFC. The Ravens got it done at the last second against the Chicago Bears. Any notable news that you thought was worthy mentioning before we close you out here NFL-wise?
Well, if I could drop this on you, I got in and I traveled yesterday, and then I had some work to do, and my wife and I did some pre-Christmas stuff. We're hosting for Thanksgiving this year. Really didn't put much of an eye on it, but here's my thoughts that carried me through the day. The Falcons cannot lose twice on the same weekend. We'd already lost on Thursday. We couldn't lose yesterday. So that made me relatively happy.
There you go. Well, Tom, have a great
That's all I got.
Have a great Thanksgiving with your family. We normally talk to you on Thursdays, but obviously we're all going to be chowing down on turkey. So why don't we push that back a day and we'll chat with you Friday in front of the Arkansas-Missouri game.
Man, that sounds like a plan. Sounds good.
We'll talk to you Friday. Happy Thanksgiving.
We're back and better than ever. A new web interface to start the basketball season and more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your #1 spot for all basketball and football action this season. Head to the new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE50 to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV50 to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, and baseball postseason, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.